we go.
And I'm going to quick share it in other places while we talk.
Yeah, share away. So hello, everyone. Welcome to Is Social Selling with LinkedIn Really Worth My Time? Really excited to have you guys here. So if you're new to Blab, the way this works is if you like what we're saying, you can give us props. That's like these little hands. It used to be called feels, and people just were a little awkward with that. So so we can give each other props, which I love to do. And you can also tell a little bird. So there's a little on the left-hand side of your screen, there's a little tell a little bird, and that will tell everybody that you are in this room and having a great time. Also, this is a hot seat Blab, meaning if you guys have questions or you have advice or you want to tell us that we're all wrong and you have better solutions, we want to hear all of that. We love that. So you're welcome to hop in the seat. All you have to do is request, and we'll let you in. So, Beth, you want to introduce yourself?
I'm having a little of a delay. I think you said, do I want to introduce myself?
Yes, I feel like it's CNN and you're in Asia.
Okay. Well, we are a few miles apart. I'm Beth Granger. I have a social sales consulting business, and I help people who just don't even know the difference between a hashtag and a handle, is what I like to say.
That's clever. I like that.
Thank you.
So a line, and it's Blab, so we could be a little more casual. So here, a line that I say usually behind closed doors is that don't know the difference between a hashtag and a hash mark. Sorry.
That's good.
So anyway.
Props. You get props. Ooh.
Oh, thank you. I'll give you props too. So first, let's start with, what is social selling? So Beth, to you, what is social selling? So
to me, it's actually the online version of in-person networking. So I do a lot of networking, and 95% of my clients are referrals because of that. And it really, to me, is all the same rules apply. So it's doing online what you might do in person, whether it's prospecting, whether it's sharing your expertise, whether it's giving and getting introductions, those kinds of things. What is it to you?
So I have my formal definition of social selling, which is really kind of 4 stages. The first one is listening. So I think in order to be a successful social seller, you have to be a really good listener. And that means, and a lot of people are like, how do you listen on social? Well, I think it starts with looking at what your current clients and prospects are liking, tweeting about, sharing, commenting on, so that you can get an idea of what's of interest to them. Without that knowledge, it's really hard to be a successful social seller, because when we go to engage, we need to engage in what matters to them. So getting a good handle on that, I think, is the first step. The second one is thought leadership. So it's really what you were talking about a little bit. It's like talking about your expertise. Well, not really talking, it's showing your expertise by offering great insights and education that starts to engage with people. And that doesn't have to be 100% your own stuff, right? That can clearly be curated content, other stuff that you find. But the key that I believe makes you a thought leader versus just a content sharer is that you offer your perspective. So when you go to share it, you could say, the reason I'm sharing this article is I got XYZ out of it, or I thought this point was really pertinent to, CEOs. And all of a sudden, even though it's somebody else's content, because you shared your perspective, people are seeing you in a different light.
Good point.
So that's my second part. My third part, since it is called social selling, is prospecting. And prospecting is really about engagement. So it's not just sharing stuff. It's engaging with other people. It's asking for referrals and warm introductions. It's about converting activities to phone calls. And so for me, that is a major piece. In fact, I just wrote a blog on that today.
Cool.
So it's well, I wrote it yesterday, but it went out today. I'll share it in a little bit. But it's really about converting all your activities into phone calls, because if you're not getting phone calls, it's just social. It turns to selling, right, when you get on the phone. Right. And number 4, which I don't know if you'd consider this part of social selling or not, but number 4 really is positioning yourself based on the research you did and the engagement you had and the press releases you read on a company, like all the research you do online, making sure you understand what the company needs or wants. Ultimately, sorry, that was my puppy dog, and my husband walked in, so we got lots of, yeah. Anyway, so props for puppies. I love my puppy dog. So it's ultimately taking all of that intelligence and positioning yourself in person. So social selling, it's now offline, and even though we're still calling it social selling, it's because all of the investigation that we did, we now take this and we use that information in our discovery call, in our face-to-face calls. So for me, those are the 4 areas, the 4 stages really in social selling.
That's great. I love that.
So it's fun, and I love social selling, and there's a big difference between social media and social selling. Like social media marketing is different, right? So how do you see social media marketing?
So I see it, I see there is an overlap, obviously, because you can be using similar platforms. You can be curating content as part of thought leadership, things like that. But the difference is to me, it's much more strategic to be doing social selling, because you're trying to get people into your funnel, if you look at it that way. And you're, well, a lot of it is similar, because you can be looking at prospects, building a group of people that want to interact with you. Where I see it different is there are parts of just plain social media that are just social. So, you might be on a Twitter chat because you're interested in food for the fun of it, whereas you're not going to be doing some of the social sales techniques for the fun of it. You're doing it to get business.
And that's definitely the difference between like social media and social selling. And I have between social marketing and social selling, really the major difference is the phone call. So I feel like social marketing is getting opt-ins, getting content, getting engagement. And then the moment it switches to social selling is when we book the phone call.
I like that.
And so that's sort of that fine line for me, because marketers don't want phone calls. Salespeople want phone calls.
Lots of phone calls.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask, does anyone want to jump in the hot seat? And if everybody could, on the left-hand side, go and tell a little bird, let everybody know that you're here. That would be great. Okay, we have Nador or Nador. Let's see who our friend is here. He's coming on. Let's see what Nador does. Hopefully let's go to his Twitter, and I will introduce him while he's trying to get on. Oh, there's not a lot on his Twitter. Hopefully he will come on and introduce himself. Oh, okay. Oh, yay! I can't wait to meet. Let's see. And I hope
I'm here on my couch.
Hello.
Yay! Hello. So please remind me how to say your name correctly.
Daughter.
Okay.
It's after midnight, so I was going to bed. And then I saw this was on.
Oh, I'm so glad you joined
Sunday
us.
night, and I'm sitting here in my pajamas almost.
So it's actually tomorrow. You are our future. How's it looking?
It's dark outside.
Yeah, that's sort of my present. Same thing.
Where are you?
I'm in Denmark, Europe.
Oh, wonderful.
It is very cool. So, and Dorthe is a wonderful social selling expert. And we've talked before, but this is, I think, the first time face
to face, yeah.
And I think we Skyped without video, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So good to have you here. What is your definition of social selling?
I was so glad that your definition was that long as well, because mine is also pretty long. I usually tell people that they have to start with their personal brand. I sell also to larger companies. And even though that they are working in a large company, they have to use their personal brand and not only the company brand. And then they are a bit shocked. Oh, okay. And then after that, I tell them that they definitely need to attract people to them, attract them online. And they do that by sharing relevant content, being a thought leader, as you said. And then as a third part, I usually say to them, and then after that, you need to use all the data you have available to be a smart salesperson and to be a relevant salesperson. So you do not have to make cold call, but warm calling. So it's pretty the same as you're saying. So, but I narrow it down to 3 because some of them are already saying, oh, is it that long a definition? So,
yeah, I put in the 4th one just for good luck.
Yeah.
So Beth and I have very similar philosophies to how you use LinkedIn for social selling. And our topic today is LinkedIn really worth it? I'm going to start with Beth, but then I'd like to get your input on that. So Beth, really, LinkedIn, it's so hard to navigate. Is it really worth it?
Yes. Can I just say yes?
So
I think.
Tell us why you look at LinkedIn as a tool.
So one of the things I was going to say is right now a lot of people are frustrated with LinkedIn because they're making a lot of changes and people don't like change. But there's just so much information there. I mean, think of you can find out so much about people. You can target people. I don't even know how to put it into words. I was teaching a class the other day and someone said, how does it know I know all these people, when it was suggesting people that he might know? And I said it was magic. So that's my answer. LinkedIn is because it's magic. But truly it's that you know so much about a person before you even speak to them. So there's work done ahead of time. You know, it's making it a warm call, not a cold call, because you've already potentially interacted with them, you know about them. I mean, you even in some cases know where they hang out in person and can go meet them in person if you felt like being a little stalkerish.
My husband doesn't know that I'm sitting here being on a webinar, so just so if somebody's talking, it's him. So,
well, he can certainly join in.
Well, I totally agree with you, but I've been using LinkedIn since 2006. So, and in Denmark, it's a very very old media. It was getting big prior to Facebook, actually, and now we're only 5 million people in this country, and 1.9 million people are on LinkedIn.
Wow!
So it's really big, and we also have a Danish version, even though we're a small country. So when I meet the CEOs or salespeople or business people out real networking, it's totally normal. Then when I get a business card, I go home and put them into my LinkedIn account. But what happened now is that a lot of people have been doing that for years and years, and they have only seen it as the HR department's tool for getting new jobs, hiring new people. And now they're suddenly beginning to turn around and say, and what should I use this for? What do we do next? So I've been like a missionary for 2.5, 3 years when I had my own company talking about social selling, and everybody was like, what? Social selling? No, LinkedIn is for the HR people. And now, even though big magazines, our newspapers, the leader forums, all of them are beginning to talk about it as being the place to be when you want to connect. So
that's great.
Can you hear me? Perhaps I should find a headset.
We can hear you.
Okay. Good.
Yeah,
I
there's a
can't hear
little bit of an
myself.
echo. But if you have a headset, that's great. But I think you're fine if you don't.
Okay.
We're good. The gentleman, was his name Jose? Your friend, JCVIDES?
Oh, Juan?
Juan. You know, that's so funny because I have two friends that are brothers, and they're Jose and Juan, and I ended up going to the other one. I remembered it was one of those brothers, so Juan, excuse me. That's so funny. And they're twins, and I have boys that are Jake and Josh, and so it was like all these J's. But that's a whole story for another day. Anyway, so Juan, you had mentioned that the headline is really important, and I agree with that. And I just want to talk about that for a second, and then I'm going to go back to why I think LinkedIn is a vital tool in the social selling process. But the headline is the first thing, or one of the first three things people see. They see your background or your banner, they see your profile picture, and they see your headline. And so this is absolutely vital, because if your headline says, I'm in sales, I'm an account manager, I'm an account rep, no matter how great it was that you got them to your profile, they're never taking your call because nobody wants to talk to a salesperson. Right? So your headline, right? Your headline needs to really be the value that you bring your clients, not what you do, but how you help. Thank you very much. Right?
Exactly.
So that's a really big piece of this. So now I will answer, because why LinkedIn for social selling? And I will tell you the primary reason I love LinkedIn for social selling, and there are many, 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 but what makes LinkedIn better than any other tool is the Rolodex. And it's not the Rolodex that Dorte was talking about, where I just take all of my names and stick them in there. But it's the Rolodex of your connections, with the ability to filter and search and identify who you know that knows who you're looking to get in front of, and leverage that for warm introductions.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, there is not another tool on the entire planet that has the same power that LinkedIn does in that niche. So people will say, go ahead.
No, exactly.
Yeah. So, so LinkedIn for social selling, I mean, there are a lot of ways to engage. I get Twitter for engagement. In fact, Beth and I met on a tweet chat, and now we're partners in a company, and we've never actually even hugged or anything. Like, we haven't physically met. I don't know. I have not met in person one of our partners. How about that?
Neither have I.
It's crazy. And that's what social has done. And we're launching a pretty big company in January, really. So so social has done it. So I understand the power of Twitter. Definitely. There is no question in my mind. But absolutely, LinkedIn has its part. Hello. And SSS is...
Hello.
What is your name, sir?
My name is...
Say that one more time.
Saad.
Saad?
Yeah, exactly.
Saad. Hi, Saad.
Welcome.
Are you in business development?
Sorry?
Are you in a sales role?
No.
So what do you do, Saad?
Now I'm studying for master's degree in America.
Excellent. And so what is your interest in LinkedIn and social selling that you popped in today?
Sorry, I'm new in this application, so I just joined,
Yeah. Well, welcome. So we're talking. One of the things, and we're happy to have you, one of the things that you want to do is look at the subject and see of the blab that you're in and decide if this is something that I either have a question for or have really good content or good advice to add. And if it's one or the other, you pop in. So do you have any questions for us?
Actually, I don't think so.
Okay,
my pleasure to meet you guys.
It's very nice to meet you
Nice
too.
to
And
meet
if you're
you.
ever in a sales role, connect with me on LinkedIn. You know, this is such a cool tool. It is so new to a lot of people. It is so much fun. And I love the courage that people have to just hop in and and it is an open seat. And by the way, right now, I mean, we have 12 people in the room, but you got 3 pretty awesome LinkedIn experts right now that you can ask any of your questions that we would be a lot of money if you wanted to work with us. And it's free right now. Like, that blows my mind, right? Who do we have? We have your friend Juan.
Juan, come on in. I saw Juan on Friday. We were at I was on a panel at an event called the Fair Media Council Connection Day, and I was talking about Blab to everybody. I was telling them they had to try it because to me it immediately brings people closer. You know, there are people that I've tweeted with for years, and now I get to see them and hear their voice.
Yeah, it's awesome, and it brings everybody to life for sure.
So can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
We can hear you.
Cool.
So Juan, what do you do?
We work together sometimes, Beth, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, my expertise is search engine optimization, but you know, I had a digital agency firm for about 10 years, web design, and now we do a lot of online reputation management. But want to just talk about LinkedIn. I got a story to share with you guys. So, you know, before on my title, I used to say web designer, web developer on my LinkedIn head title, and nobody used to like I used to accept me. Like, I used to go on LinkedIn and I say, oh, this is a cool CEO. I want to, you know, get into link up with him, and I would never get a time of day until I got on the board of directors of the American Heart Association. Now my title says board of directors of, you know, the American Heart Association for Long Island chapter. I get more, it's the opposite now. It's like the tables has turned. I get more requests now. I get 1 to 2 requests a day, and I'm very easy to link up with a CEO rather than before, where I was a quote unquote web designer. Nobody would give me the time of day. So that's how I say before, is your personal headline is very important. And I think if you give yourself more credibility, you'll get more, you know, people to accept you, basically.
So I think that's interesting. I've never really considered, thank you so much for sharing that. I've never really considered leveraging a position like that to get more conversations. The danger is they don't know what you do. So converting it to sales might be tough. So I'm wondering if there's a way to kind of include both. So board of directors and
you know what? I'll be honest with you, I'm good though. I'm busy. I'd rather have it that way because I get quality than quantity, and it helps me with my reputation of who I am. So credibility, accreditations of who I am. So it works to my advantage, you know, because, you know, after I see a client, I usually add them on LinkedIn and they see who I am.
Do you find that more people are trying to sell to you?
Sometimes, but very rarely. Because when I had it as a web designer, I was getting all the people from overseas, right? They were like soliciting me. Oh, we have, you know, we can work with you. It was like the opposite, you know. But now I have people in the health. They want to connect with me, you know, in the health field. So it's a little bit different now, you know.
Interesting.
So I have a question. As a board of director, I'm curious because I'm going, okay, if we keep in that line of thinking, how do we eventually turn this into business, right? Because that's ultimately the goal. So I'm just going to play with this for a minute. Sure. So with that line of thinking, as a board of director, what is your responsibility? Is it sponsorships? Is it raising funds?
Yeah, it's a both. So, you know, I'll back up. I'll tell you a little bit of my story. The way that I started before with my business, and it's helped me tremendously, was with the Long Island Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I was on the board of directors for 7 years. That gave me more exposure, and you know, working with the local Chamber of Commerce is always good, right? and it gives you more credibility. Like I said before, giving back to the community. I always felt as a firm believer that when you give back, you get back, and that helps the sales, So now if you look at my portfolio on LinkedIn, you can see all my accreditations where I used to be on, all the board of directors I used to serve on. And if somebody who wants to do business with me, again, would kind of like your resume, right? They want to see you on LinkedIn and they can see who you are, So you can go to my LinkedIn profile. So it's, linkedin.com/VIDS. Which, by the way, you can't. I don't know. You can't post a LinkedIn on the chat, right, Beth? You found that out?
Well, I don't know if they've changed that. Let's try it.
What was the question?
When we first did a chat a number of weeks ago, you couldn't put a LinkedIn URL in the chat feature.
Yes, you can now.
You can?
If you couldn't before, you definitely can.
All right, so I'm going to put mine.
So, here's what you can't do. You can't put it. You have to put the URL on its own line.
All right, so
right.
That's my profile. So if you want to, feel free to critique. Feel free to critique my profile. By the way.
Oh, there's a great question.
Yeah, we're actually gonna do a blab on critiquing profiles, but I don't.
Sure.
If it's okay with you, we're not going to do that.
Do you see
right now?
Do you see the question? I see that's a great question. Can you post a blab on LinkedIn? I haven't tried yet.
Yeah, you can.
So you can absolutely do it in the news feed, and I did that. You cannot embed it inside of a post yet. Like you could embed a YouTube video.
Can you put it on YouTube and then embed the YouTube?
Yes. You can do that post, absolutely. You could do it post the call.
Okay.
So if we would do something like this and then we'd write a blog around it, that would be a really good thing to do.
So I just shared it.
So can I play, Juan, can I play with this for a minute? I just want to laser focus in to see if my concept makes sense. Can we do this for a second?
Sure. I don't know if you can see that. I just posted that on LinkedIn.
I can see. Yeah, you can post it. Awesome, thank you so much. And usually what I'll say is watch live now, so they know that it's there. So Juan, really quickly. So now they're attracted to you because of your board position. As a board member, why would you build a relationship with them? What is your responsibility as a board member?
Well, like to your point, what you said before, yes, fundraising, bringing, your. So my situation was with the American Heart was that I have a lot of people in the Hispanic community, so that's what I bring to the table. It's my connection within the Hispanic community because I've been in that community within about 7 years, so I have a lot of experience. So there's something.
So I totally get the value you bring, but so I'm gonna keep going because I have like a really linear thought. Okay, so. If you were to speak with someone who connected with you because you were the board of directors, and then they said, let's have a phone call, I'm interested in what you're doing, what would you tell them your role is as a board of director?
Well, again, it's we have a lot of roles. Like one of them would be is to educate people about my situation, about the organization.
And then what would your close be? What would your close be to the person you're talking to? So how would you end that call? So here's how you can help with.
Yeah.
How would you end that call?
Well, it depends on what they're looking for, how they want to get involved. We have different committees. We have different things that they can get involved. They want to be a sponsorship? Of course. All not-for-profit organizations looking for sponsorships and donations, right? That's the main goal of most not-for-profits, But if people don't have the money, they can get involved the other ways, besides monetary. They can get involved by volunteering.
That's great. So what I would do is now you have the CEO that connects with you because you're on the board of directors.
Yes.
Now I want you to convert that into a phone call.
Yep.
But I'd like to tell you a little bit about what we're doing with the American Heart Association and how as a CEO, you might be able to get involved, get a little exposure. Some have some monetary, but there are some things that you can do for free as well.
Of course. And one of them would be I just want to say like a fit challenge where you can challenge your coworkers, or go red for women for Red Day. So
All right. So perfect. So I want you to have so from a social selling, I can't help it. This is what I do. If you were my paid client, I'd be this annoying.
Go, Bryn.
But the bottom line is,
what did I get myself into?
Yep. No, this is it. So the bottom line, though, is you need to start building relationships with these people and having conversations. And the conversations need to be around whatever your LinkedIn is talking about, because otherwise they feel bait and switched, right? So they connect with you because of the board of directors. We need to have a conversation about the board of directors. And at the end of the call, we want to close for you to end up meeting them, whether you've invited them to a meeting or a committee meeting or whatever it is. So now you start building a relationship with these people. Now, the other piece now is you need to start sharing content around SEO. So even though our conversation is around the board of directors, they need to start seeing you as the SEO expert.
Of course. That's an after sale, pretty much for my case,
Right, but they still need to identify with you that way. Mm-hmm. And in your conversation, I highly recommend that you say, being part of this board of directors has had an enormous amount of exposure for my SEO business. So you start talking about how the board has helped your business, and you can talk about your business in a way that you are selling now this other CEO on participating with the American Heart Association, not just for the good, out of the goodness of his heart, but because it gives exposure. But that allows you to talk about your business in a way that's not selling them.
Right.
It's just sharing how the American Heart, being part of the American Heart Association, also helps you grow your business.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Love it.
Right. And so now you are, this to me, if you want to stick with, that's what's giving me credibility, then that would be the process that I'd go through.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Of course.
Try it. Let us know.
Okay.
Do you have any questions for any of us? Or Beth, do you want to add to that? Or Dorte, do you want to add to that? Am I saying your name okay?
It's okay. I've been living in America and they said it the same way.
Dorta?
It's because we have a sound at the end.
Dorta. Like daughter? Yeah. Like daughter?
Dorta.
More like daughter.
Sort of like daughter, yeah.
Daughter.
That's the New York daughter. Daughter.
Do we sound funny to you?
They said, what a cool name to be called daughter.
Yeah.
It's better than being a mother.
I am a mother, yes.
Well, in this country, if you're a mother, it's not necessarily a good thing.
Hey, Bryn, we got while we were having that conversation, we did get some good questions, I thought, on the right side.
Okay, you want to read them?
Let's see. One was, where'd it go?
The one about influence.
Well, first we were talking about where you can post a blab, and then, but more about LinkedIn, it was, so here's one. If you want to connect with a bigger influencer on LinkedIn, what would be that strategy?
That is a wonderful question, and it really depends on who that influencer is. The one thing that I would tell you is there are some, like Jeff Hayden, that are absolutely writing. He's a ghostwriter, but absolutely writing his own stuff. And there are some that probably have teams working for them. So I'll start by saying you really kind of want to feel it out and make sure it's someone that's writing their own stuff. And some of the ways you can identify that is by looking at their Twitter stream and see if there's real engagement or if it's just sort of automated stuff. The more real engagement there is, the more likely it is that they're really engaging on LinkedIn. So once you've identified that it is them, you want to, which is so important, like, share, and comment on their posts. And you want to do it on more than one. So I had someone that really got my attention, not that I'm an influencer, but I had someone that really got my attention because he, in like a 2-hour span, read through like 6 blog posts and commented really good comments on every single one. And then he reached out to connect with me and said, I really loved your blog posts. I got through a lot of them. They were very valuable. It would mean a lot if you'd connect with me and possibly give me 15 minutes, a 15-minute conversation. Well, how do you say no to that?
That was brilliant.
You don't say no to that.
Who trained him? If it wasn't you or me.
I don't know. I mean,
it was Dorte.
Yeah, it was Dorte. Dorte. Right, but so I think it's first you have to build to the ego. You have to, right? You definitely have to like and share and comment and really be visible, and then you have to ask. The most crazy thing of all is you've got to ask. Now, I'm going to tell just a quick little story. It has nothing to do with LinkedIn, but it has to do with asking.
Okay.
I can't remember their names. They were famous. My ex-husband, and I were we were in New York, and we met. Who were the people that did the movies like House Party?
Kid and Play.
They had Kid and Play. So we met Kid and Play in New York.
Movie buff.
And we were talking, and they said, "Oh, we're going to be on Regis and Kathy Lee tomorrow morning." So my ex-husband says to him, "Ooh, can you give us a shout out?" Regis and Kathy Lee. So he's like, "Sure, write down your name." I am not joking. They pronounced my name wrong, but Regis and Kathy Lee, the next day they were like, "We want to give a shout out to Brett and Bryn," but they said Briney, I think, because he wrote it down. But at the end of the day, he asked, and that was this major aha moment, in sales. I think I was probably 23 or 24, something like that. Isn't that great?
The worst that can happen is that somebody says no, right? Make the ask.
So how do you engage with them? Ask. You'd be shocked at how few people are asking.
So I have a story, a quick story. I belong to BNI. I don't know if you guys know what BNI is.
I teach a lot of BNIs how to do one-on-ones way better.
Business International. So, listen, I contacted the founder, Ivan Meisner, and I said, "Listen, what is your I had a situation that happened to me at a network event where I handed somebody a business card and they returned it back to me." And I asked them, I was like, "How would you deal with that? If that ever happened to you, have that, But he said no, but it was a great piece that he blogged about it. So that was a whole thing that an influencer, Dr. Ivan Meisner, I sent them a quick message on LinkedIn, and he wrote a whole blog about it.
That's awesome.
That's great.
And that's it. You would be shocked at how few people are really engaged, are really asking for that one-on-one or engaging.
So my question has got to be fearless, and there's ways to connect with people who are influencers on LinkedIn. Through third connections or however, you always want to get introduced, and it's easy. I think a lot of people have that fear of connecting with somebody who's big. They're not going to answer you back, or So I'm fearless on LinkedIn.
Yeah, and I mean, that's good. That's how you're going to grow your business. So, Juan, do you have any more questions before we open up the seat for the next person?
Yeah, but thank you for having me. I just want to stop in.
Bye, Juan.
Thank you. It was really nice to meet you. Awesome, awesome. So who else would like to jump in the seat?
Don't be shy.
We are looking like three scary ladies.
It's almost Halloween. Okay, so we have a couple people jumping in. I apologize. I'm just going to go in order. And then when the seat opens up. Hello, BT Pharmacy Services. What is your name?
Blair.
Hi, Blair. So one of the things I'm going to recommend to everyone, actually, and it's different when you're on Twitter, but if you're using your Twitter and your LinkedIn, you might want to consider changing it. Even though you're still BT Pharmacy as your handle, right, you may want to put your name up there. It's just a little thing, especially with Blab. So
right.
How can we help you today?
Well, I just wanted to say thank you. I saw you on another Blab the other day, and so I connected with you and looked at a few of your LinkedIn strategy tips, and they were really helpful. So I wanted to hop on and say thank you.
Oh, was that me or Beth or Dorte?
You. Brent.
Oh, me.
Oh,
Okay. Well, we're all awesome.
Yeah. So now I'm gonna have to go look up Dorte and Beth as well.
Absolutely.
You're welcome.
Do you have a question? So now you're in front of like us, and we all have some great ideas. Do you have a question that you might want us to help you with?
Well, I just along the same lines of your headline, kind of describing more what you do. So I'm a pharmacist that offers business coaching to other independent pharmacists that are wanting to kind of break away from chain pharmacies and run their own businesses. So I have changed my headline, and I don't know, if it sounds too salesy or what. So now I'm kind of rethinking it after.
Okay, share it with us.
Okay, it's helping pharmacists identify opportunities for implementing clinical services and providing tools for integration. A little long.
And my question is, would they understand that? Because I don't quite understand what you do. They may understand it. It might be technical.
Is that in pharmacist language that makes sense to them?
Yes.
So I would ask a few pharmacists what their take is on it, because I hate to say this, and normally I'm really good at this, but you are way smarter than I am, and I don't understand it.
Okay.
The first part, I understood the first part.
I will say that what I recommend to my clients is that you can have sort of two strategies in your headline. One is if your clients are using LinkedIn a lot as a search engine. They do that here in my country and in the countries around us. So there it's very important to have the right words and the right terms in there so that you get found. On the other hand, if your clients are not that much there, or your competitors, then it's much better to have somebody that really makes people stop up and think, I cannot live without that. And then it should perhaps be shorter and even sharper, and I am helping these people with this. So it's really they can identify themselves with your headline instead of
I think that's awesome.
That's a good point about the keywords.
Yeah, well, the keywords, I'm not sure that your network, that your client is going to go on LinkedIn to search for you.
I agree.
So,
have a baby.
I think I would go, you can grab her. We allow babies on screen.
Babies on blab.
Yeah, I would go with Dorte's second vision. And I think I would, hello, beautiful.
Hi.
Hello. Oh my God, you're gorgeous.
Do you have a LinkedIn account?
I think you have to be 14.
Immediately stop trying.
Well, it's fun to see yourself, isn't it? It's like, oh, I am beautiful. Everybody keeps telling me, and now I know it. So I would go with that second recommendation. And I love the idea of saying that, and I may go really simple, helping pharmacists break free from the chains.
Okay.
Right? Break away from the corporate chains and build their own opportunities. From ideas to planning to execution.
I love that.
I like that. Simpler language, more keywords.
Yes. Simpler and point to the value. What's the value that you bring to them? That's the most important part. Yeah.
And also by making it something that everyone can understand, then people who are not pharmacists will be more likely to make introductions or get the idea like, oh, I should introduce her to someone else.
Okay. All right, everybody give Beth lots and lots of props for that. That's a big one. That's true. That's really important, because your business really is going to come from your network. And if your network has no idea the value that you bring, she's 100% right. There's no way they can do that. So that's awesome. Do you have any other questions for us?
No, but thank you. I'm gonna get off here because I know I'm distracting.
It's a wonderful distraction. I'll take a baby over LinkedIn every day of the week.
Okay,
babies and puppies.
Say bye.
Babies and puppies.
Bye.
Bye, you beautiful child. Oh, okay. Would anyone? Oh, I think we have people in waiting. So let's see. We have Holistic Insights. Bear with us 1 second, and I'll bring you on. Unless Beth, can you click on that? Cool.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello, Holistic Insights.
I already took to heart your advice to change my name from Holistic Insights to Randy.
Hi, Randy. Nice to meet you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, can you hear us?
So my question has to do, it's two parts. Our company is new. And just like the last person who was on, it's a technical thing that I'm trying to simplify as much as I can. Also, I do want to really develop a great LinkedIn profile. And luckily, we have a lot of good content that we can go to. But our company is a company that tests functional health, which almost nobody knows what I'm talking about. I use the analogy where a car mechanic hooks up his computer to your car. And he can tell how your car is functioning that way. He can tell the liquids going through the tubes, etc. So we hook our computer up to your body and we can tell the same thing rather than structural health like a CT scan. But I don't know. I've had some input from my business partner that may be too confusing to bring in the concept of a car mechanic into a health assessment.
I disagree.
No, I think it's a great visual because you get it.
Great.
Yeah. And I don't think I would do it in your headline, but I would definitely bring that into your summary.
Okay.
So for your headline, can I ask you a couple quick questions? So tell me about your client. Is this someone who's got ailments and can't figure out what's going on? Are there people that have aches and pains and they've gone to 6 doctors and they're all like it's fibromyalgia and go take some medicine?
That's a great...
Everyone I know, by the way, has been diagnosed with fibromyalgia.
Everybody?
Is it trendy?
Well, see here, and I think what you're doing is amazing. And I'll tell you what, I think that's the go-to diagnosis when you're really tired and achy and the doctors don't know what else to say. And I do believe some people really have it, but I don't believe everyone does.
Yeah.
And the doctors are kind of using it.
Unfortunately, another diagnosis that we hear a lot, and this is going to drive everybody crazy, is that you're crazy, that there's really nothing wrong with you and it's all in your mind. So we love serving that person because we've pinpointed the area of stress, the area of illness or unwellness in the person. And it's an interesting thing because dysfunction can lead to illness, but doctors can't necessarily find out what it is before they see the illness. So I think to answer your question, though, that is a really big market for us. We're kind of looking towards practitioners who have a client base, chiropractors, complementary medicine, which is interesting. I just had to learn about that. It's people who treat people in a complementary way to traditional Western medicine, and then alternative medicine is different in that it uses other means. So that's kind of our basis. We want to serve the individuals, but I'm interested very much in getting to the practitioners so we can serve a wider market.
But Randy,
so I love that.
Are those people on LinkedIn? Those companies?
That's a great question. There are a lot
because
of them.
I think you should start by checking that out. Because as you see in Denmark, even though this country where I come from, even though we have a lot of people on LinkedIn, there are still some areas that are not there at all. So before you start using spending a lot of time there, perhaps you could start by analyzing, are they there and how many are there?
Yeah, and I do believe there are a lot of nurse practitioners on LinkedIn.
Not in Denmark.
Because I had another client that was going after that business.
Okay, super.
But check in wherever are you a localized company or are you national?
Yeah, we're in Los Angeles.
Okay, so I would check in Los Angeles. My client happened to be in the Philadelphia area, so they happened to be here. But in the U.S., almost anyone that's looked for a job in the last 5 years is on LinkedIn. even if they're not using it all, that's anyone that has any kind of degree or in any profession, they're not using it possibly, but they can be found. At least that's been my experience. Beth,
Yes.
is that similar to yours?
Pretty much so. I mean, the random people are not, but for the most part, everyone's there.
Professionals.
Yeah, you can't really get a job without being on LinkedIn nowadays. Like, it's a big red flag if you're not there.
Wow.
It's like you don't exist.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. I won't tell the story. I have a story, though, of a very high-up person at Coca-Cola, very high up in marketing, who barely had a LinkedIn profile, and when he got looked over for CMO and quit, it was like, oh my God, like, I got to build this up. And he had Clio awards and all these things, like crazy things, and none of it was there. So he's like, this is and nobody would talk to him until, yeah, so it was interesting. Anyway, he's amazing. And I don't even know what he's up to. I should go look. And Beth, he's sort of near you. So
cool. Introduce us.
Yeah, he's awesome. Actually, I think he lives in the financial district, but
that's close.
Yeah. So anyway, moving on. So check, you're right. The very first thing to do is make sure that they're there. And then you really need to position yourself in a way that matters to them. So we know that what you do matters to their patients. But believe it or not, my opinion is if you are just talking about their patients, they don't care. You've got to talk about what's the benefit to them to help their patients with what you do.
Yep.
And we run into an authority issue a little bit. We've discussed that a lot because of all things, we don't want to make practitioners feel stupid, like they missed something. We go the exact opposite of that, which is to.
So I love that. All right, so I think what you need to do is talk about how it's the cutting edge. So you're not telling them they've missed it. You're telling them if you embrace this, you're one of the early adopters.
And also the idea of partnering, partnering with, I'm going to make this up because it's not going to be the right words, but partnering with other holistic professionals so our businesses grow together, kind of thing.
Got it. Great. Good advice. Thank you.
Yeah, and the other area I may consider, and I don't do this with everybody, but I do believe your summary shouldn't be about you. It should be more about helping them. And I actually will often say from resume to resource. So your summary could possibly start with why nurse practitioners or whatever your target market is are now looking at holistic remedies in addition to traditional medicine. And you start to educate them in your summary. And then the second piece is how you partner with cutting edge folks, how you partner with them to bring the holistic remedies and ultimately become in demand because they're cutting edge, right? So you're like saying, we help take nurse practitioners to the next level in this area. And then you always want to have a call to action. So the next piece, and my call to action, and I think for you too, well, it could be a couple things. It depends on how you want to do this. If you have an ebook or a educational video or something to go to, that's fine. But lately, my call to action for everybody is inviting them for phone calls. So if you could see the website that I have is scheduleacallwithbryn.com. I want to talk with people because no business will ever get done on social. Hi, Eileen. One of my faves is in the room. Yay. So no business is ever going to get done just because you're tweeting back and forth. You've got to take it offline. And so you want to make it really simple for them And almost every one of my clients, the first thing we do is we set them up with a calendar sync tool. Because if you're not converting to phone calls, you're not going to convert to any business. You're just not, right? So you've got to get those phone calls.
Yay.
The other thing I might recommend is for you to either run a blab or a webinar talking about, you know, how nurse practitioners can bring in healthy remedies in every diagnosis. And so, like,
Yes.
right, so you can just talk about, like, you know, if you here are some ways, if you diagnose someone with rheumatoid arthritis, here are 3 or 4 things that you can talk to them about, like stay away from orange juice. I don't know if that's true, right? Whatever it is, because the acid makes it worse, or whatever. Or if you prescribe, whatever it is, like, yeah, I mean, and it you know, if you get someone with type 2 diabetes, often what people will say is, you know, you have to have, you know, this certain things, and here's something that if they just put a lot of cinnamon into their diet, their blood sugar is going to come down. And that's something that, you know, so little things like that you're educating, now they become YouTube videos, and you need to absolutely talk about who this is for. So you want nurse practitioners in every title.
Got it.
So that they go, oh, that's for me.
That's great. Because part of what's so great is this becomes content and becomes a conversation that people can watch after the fact.
Right. Very good. Super. Thank you. That was a lot of help for me. Thank you.
Yay. So make sure you're following us and connect with all 3 of us on LinkedIn.
Okay.
We would love, and then we will, if you want to talk some more, you can certainly go to schedulecallwithbryn.com and schedule 15 minutes or 30 minutes.
Okay, great.
And I know we would all love to hear how it's going, so keep us in the loop.
Okay, and I invite you all to our blab, because we're going to have a blab soon.
Yay!
First, on the topic of toxins, before I spoke to you, I was thinking, okay, we're going to take each piece that we can tell people about. We can actually find the toxins in their body. Let's talk about what that does. Maybe we'll change the title to How Nurse Practitioners Can Help Educate Their Clients About Toxins and the Holistic Methods of Treating them.
Oh, she's a quick learner. Good for
yes,
you.
Great. But you're not going to get a ton of them on Blab yet. So I would actually tweak it slightly and say, learn how nurse practitioners are helping, because that's like bringing everyone on, but it also is talking to that message. So I want to know how nurse practitioners are actually doing this now. Do you have a client, a nurse practitioner that can be a guest?
Oh, sure. We can find.
So you want to make sure that you have a couple of them on, and that you're bringing them on for, what's the word? Credibility. I always have trouble with the English language. It just slips.
Everybody does.
On a Sunday night, especially.
Ask Dorothy.
She's doing better than I am.
I know, right?
It's amazing.
Thank you very much.
Oh, nice to meet you, Blair. No, you're not. Yes, you were. No, you're not Blair. What was your first? Randy.
Randy.
Yeah.
Oh,
nice
boy.
to meet
You're Randy. Nice to meet you, Randy.
So, Bryn,
thanks.
I guess I'll just say thank you for now.
Good night, Dorothy. We can do one together. Let's do a blab together, like at a normal time.
Let's do that. And I guess
cool.
actually we'll meet in person later next year in Spain, but we can talk about that later as well.
I love Spain. I've only been to Barcelona. That's the only place in Spain I've ever.
Yeah, but aren't you going to Barcelona in April? Oh, we'll talk about that later. I thought I saw you on the program.
That was last year. It must have been
last year, so it's not you. Sorry.
No, it might have been
in Denmark.
I would love to come to Denmark, and I have a place in Finland to stay. I had we had an exchange student from Helsinki for a year, so when we go out there, then we'll come hop and visit you. That
nice.
Yes,
we'll do a live
really
program
nice
together.
The blab, and it was nice meeting both of you, you Beth and Bryn.
Nice meeting you.
Bye.
And I have a business meeting in like 7 hours, so I'll go to bed and
Yes, get some sleep.
I can
Go get some
look
sleep.
out of my eyes tomorrow.
I'm flying tomorrow, so
Bye,
I won't
everybody.
sleep.
And I mainly speak in English on Twitter, and then LinkedIn is more my native language. So just so you know.
I know. I actually have my Google Translator open, and I stick your stuff in all the time.
Yes. Okay. Have a nice day to you.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So we're just fun. Would you like to bring one more person on? I mean, we're just at our hour. But let's do one more. I'm having too much fun. Does anyone else want to jump in and ask any questions on LinkedIn? We have a couple people in the room. I don't know.
People are shy.
Okay, yay. Oh, Tanya. I know Tanya.
Yes, we spoke. You gave me some great advice last week.
Hello.
Hi, Tanya.
Hi, how are you?
Hello, hello.
Just got to get. You mentioned something just now. Oh, what was it? What benefits them to help their patients? I forgot what my question was. Let me okay, I'll explain my situation, and then it might link to the question. I'm just about to rewrite the website because I'm trying to move away from what the product does, right, to what benefits it provides. Because I'm too, when you're too stuck in the product because you developed it, that's the situation I'm in. So now we've got two audiences. Basically, we've got management consultants who would become our partners and use our product to help their business, and the other audience would be either HR, marketing, or sales directors who would use our data to gather information on what they need to do. You mentioned how you said to the other lady what benefit it would be to help their patients. That's the question. So when I'm thinking about the HR or sales directors, am I thinking about what benefit it would be for the company or for their job role or for the workforce when I'm writing it?
So that's a great question. Beth, do you want to start or should I start? You tell me what you want to do.
Can you just say that one more time?
Yeah, so say I'm trying to appeal, let's just choose one. Say I'm trying to appeal to HR director.
Okay.
When I'm writing the content, am I writing it of what benefit it would be to their company, to their job role, or to the leaders or the workforce?
So that's a great question. So people care about themselves first. So you're going to want to, that may be part of it, how it will help them help other people. But it's really, how is it going to help them? Whether it's going to make them better at their job or it's something that they can bring to their management to show that they know what's going on. But people, what's in it for them?
Okay. All right.
So why would the HR person hire you?
Right.
Or
yeah.
buy your stuff? Okay. Let's start there. So tell us your product.
Okay, so we have, we roll out what we call smart data assessments. And the reason we call it smart data is because we're looking at how people's skills and capabilities will either support or hinder a company trying to achieve certain goals. So it's actually linked to business outcomes. Most assessments aren't. Most assessments actually just ask how people are performing, but it has no linkage to a company's outcomes. Right, so that's where we differ there, the linkage between that and the outcome.
Okay, so let's go back to Beth's advice, which I think was spot on.
Yes.
Why does an HR person
now I've lost
care about that?
Yeah. Well, I think for HR, it would make them more strategic. So in the eyes of the CEO, the CFO, they hold more weight. They look more credible because they're actually making the right choices. They're making the right choices on how to develop the staff for the benefit of these other people, because usually HR kind of don't hold much credibility in the eyes of the other people. So I think it makes them more credible, not credibility. I'm having your problem there. It helps them become more credible, and it also helps them achieve key outcomes, business outcomes.
So are they outcomes that they are being evaluated on?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, yeah. Well, yeah, it's a strange industry, this HR industry.
Tanya, one of the things I'd love for you to go do is go back to a couple of your HR clients and say, why did you love working with us? How did this help you personally? And really start to really get to the core of why, and why would you hire us again?
Yeah.
And really understand from their perspective the benefits you brought. My guess is you probably offer way more value than you even know. Yeah. And you're never going to know it until you actually ask them.
Yeah. All right. That's good advice.
So you're going to get some really good insights. That being said, I think you hit on a couple things, and my reaction to how do you position this would be 5 reasons HR people are underappreciated.
Yeah.
Right? Because if that's the pain, they're going to read that.
Yeah.
Or, 3 ways HR people can get better recognition for what they do. Or 5, I always have numbers, whatever numbers they really are, right? 3, 4, 5, 7. 7 key areas that HR people should be evaluated on.
Yeah.
Or the new HR KPIs, you create them. 5, do you use the word KPI, key performance indicators? Is that something you guys use, KPIs?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So whatever, so you can set the trend. So I see your company, and now this is the second time we've talked, so I feel like I'm getting a better handle on it. You are a market maker. You are not a market taker.
Yeah.
And so there are some benefits and some challenges in that. Yeah. So you are not replacing a vendor.
Yeah.
You are having them spend money that they haven't considered spending until they talk to you.
Yeah.
Right? So it's difficult sometimes to present that value. So you have to look at creating a need in a marketplace through your content. Your job is to create them to say, oh my gosh, I need that.
Yeah. Do you think that we need to be controversial?
It depends on what type of controversial, like what? And if it's a threat to their job, no.
No, it's more controversial about the tools that they might currently be using, which has no linkage to a business outcome. So it's more controversial about other assessment tools.
So like a Myers-Briggs, those kinds of things?
No, not so much Myers-Briggs, but like an employee engagement assessment. Like Gallup or something like that. Or a 360 degree. You get 360 degree evaluations, because Myers-Briggs is kind of different. That's about temperament.
I think you can't ever bash a competitor.
Yeah.
I think it's dangerous, and I'm going to give
you controversial about a measurement tool without mentioning names.
So I don't think I would. Well, here's what I would say. Maybe. I might talk about the next generation of evaluation.
Mm.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
or where evaluation is going, you know, where the new evaluation tools, it's like almost evaluation 2.0. You know, so so evaluation up to 2013 or whenever it is has really been this you know, this was the standard. Not like it's bad, but this is where it was. But now, as teams start to evolve and there's more, looking for more insights, here are 3 areas the next generation of evaluation tools are focusing on.
I love that. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're just saying, hey, those tools are great. They've been around for a long time. But, you know, this is what's next.
Yeah.
There are a lot of times, so my background was a sales trainer, right? So everything I do, even though I'm solely focused on social selling, for my entire career, I was really trained to say at the end of any call, who in addition to us are you considering? And it was like mandatory that we ask that. And I was really trained very, very well on our competition. And I still do this today. But you know, so I know that I'm up against 2 competitors almost for every single major deal. And I know all, and I love them both, and I think they're not our partners, but I think they're both, although I talk to both of them, but I love them both. I'm up against them on every deal, and I win 1/3 of the deals. And I think each of them are winning 1/3 of the deals. But at the end of this, I actually know the Achilles heel of each of them. So I will never say anything, because I think they're fabulous. So I would never say anything bad. But if they say, there's one woman and one man. So if they say the guy, I know that I'm going to go into, because he was also a sales trainer, so that's not an advantage for me. With the woman, she was never a sales trainer. So that becomes my thing. So I'm, you know, so if she's the one that, you know, that they mentioned, yes, we're talking to her, I will say, oh my gosh, her stuff is really great. She is awesome at social media. One thing that I would look at when making this decision, since this is for your sales team, is that the person you choose is actually a sales trainer and has been in the weeds. Because that's, you know, that understands the mentality. And I kind of go into my whole shtick around that. Yeah, and if it's the guy who owns a really good sales training program, what he doesn't have is a playbook. So I'll go in and say, you know, when you make this decision, make sure the person that you work with has a playbook, because like any training, when people leave, if they don't know exactly what to do Monday morning, they're going to snap back like a rubber band and do everything the way they used to do and never implement it. Right. So when, you know, so when you're competing against Miller Heiman, or you're not Miller Heiman, I compete against Miller Heiman. When you what's the evaluation? Say a
360-degree one.
A 360 or a disc, right? Yeah, or any of those things, right? You just have to know, oh, you know what? That has a great reputation. But just make sure that you've got this. And you just have to know their Achilles heel. But you also have to ask, so if you are in a market taking position, which occasionally you may be, you've got to make sure that you give them reason to switch to you. Yeah. And it's just different than when you're in a market making. So knowing if they're actually using an evaluation tool right now is also really important.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that helpful?
It is very helpful, very helpful. You're very helpful. Every time I speak to you, you're helpful. Like, go away.
Yay.
And I'm in the process of just redesigning and getting the pitch right for the website, so it's perfect, you know.
Awesome.
Well, good luck.
So you also really want to hit to them emotionally. and you want to speak to the challenges that are being faced. Maybe does this help turnover? Employee turnover?
Yeah.
So you
succession planning and all of that.
Yeah, so you can talk about, the nightmare, when, particularly as the economy gets better, people are switching jobs.
Yeah.
And so this becomes, whatever it is, if the economy is bad, I'll have something else, right? But you want to talk about, so here are some of the challenges HR people, if they're not already facing, will be facing.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely vital for HR people to not only survive in their position, but thrive, to have a better handle on who they're bringing on, if they're going to last, what succession planning is in place. And you could just talk about how, being prepared, and having people on the sidelines is vital. And you've got to make sure they're the right people on the sidelines, because when your quarterback goes down, if you don't have the right person to go in, the whole company topples.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's an American thing.
I've just finished watching the Rugby World Cup in Australia. I got through to the final.
Bye, Tanya.
That's awesome. Awesome.
Thank you again.
Thanks, Tanya.
People now, some of my contacts, and pick their brains, because I need to get into their heads, because it's hard. They're not an obvious group of people where you would know the pain like a sales or marketing director. That's obvious what the pain is going to be. HR is not so obvious.
The other thing you want 5 things from a client, but one of them is absolutely the insights. That's absolutely very important.
Yeah.
But you also want a case study if you can.
Yeah. So
if you can get case studies from them when you're talking to them, and your case studies should, if you have a pen, write these down. Case study, especially for LinkedIn, should have 5 elements. Number 1, the client, hopefully you can use their name, but you also want to make sure that you're talking about size, company, location, industry, right? So people can get a really good feeling for that.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, the trigger. So what happened in their organization that made them hire you?
Mm-hmm.
So what happened? There was a mass layoff, or there was a new project and they had to hire lots of people, or whatever. A merger, perfect, exactly. So what was the trigger that happened? And then you want to talk about their challenge. So what challenge were they, why did they need you when they couldn't do it on their own?
Yeah.
Right. So, why did they need, or why did their current, this is a good one if they had it, if you were a market taker, why did their current assessment not do the job?
Yeah.
Right. So that's the challenge. Then your solution and the results.
Okay. Fantastic.
And if you can get and then I put that into projects on LinkedIn, and if they will allow you to connect to them on LinkedIn, then that's really very valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Connect the project to them.
Right. Okay. And then connect it via LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can be challenging. Some don't want to, let people know the secret sauce, but
well, I think as well, some companies aren't even allowed to actually put their name against the testimonial, are they?
Yeah, and if they can't, first of all, you want to get it in writing. But if they can't, then you want to talk just in generality about maybe the industry and the size company.
Okay.
And then just send it to them and say, it's pretty general, but are you okay if I put this up?
All right.
Have fun.
Thank you again. Thanks. Nice to meet you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Nice to meet you.
Hopefully we'll see each other soon.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be on your next one. I've already got it booked in.
Oh, wow. Yay. Thank you. Talk to you soon.
Thanks again, guys. Thanks for your help.
Bye-bye.
Okay. I
that was
have
fun.
to actually. That was fun. I have like 12 more minutes, and then I have to go get my kids. They're on a haunted hayride.
Oh, fun. And I have work to do, but this has been a wonderful way to not do that work.
Yeah, anything to right. So I'll give it like 30 seconds if one other person wants to jump in the hot seat for questions. Otherwise, we might call it a night. Let's see. Do we have we should have a stopwatch, right? Wouldn't that be? But this was really fun.
It was.
We've had 110 people pop in.
Nice.
Yeah, it is nice. So who do we
Must
have?
be nothing good on TV.
You know, it's Sunday. Actually, Sunday and Monday are my 2 nights that I have, but I'm DVRing everything.
Okay.
So that's fine. All right. Well, we're not getting anyone else humping in, so I think we can call this a night.
Excellent.
But Beth, we need to do this at least a couple of times a month.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. This was fun. I had so much fun with you.
Me too. Props.
Yay. Well, go get your work done.
Okay.
And
Talk to you Tuesday.
Okay. Excellent. Yeah,
Bye,
and I'll show
everybody.
up. But I'm only there for like 20 minutes because I'm getting on an airplane at 7:45.
Oh. Okay.
I know. Okay.
Bye,
See you
everybody.
later.